What is going on, everybody? Welcome back into TTP Sports, and this Flyers team continues to impress. That's 7 straight games with a point, dating back to the overtime loss against the New Jersey Devils before the calendar flipped into December. It's been a while since the Flyers, haven't recorded a point in a single game. This is a very impressive streak this team is on, and especially in tonight's victory, shootout victory, might I add, over the Washington Capitals, where it just didn't feel like they played their best game still, and where they looked a little bit flat-footed, which is very understandable for a team coming back from a 3-game road trip out on the West Coast, where you go to Arizona, Colorado, especially with that high altitude, and then you go to Nashville, then you come back home, and yeah, you were out there for a bit of time there, probably at least 5 days for 3 games there, and it's very understandable why you probably looked as flat-footed, you looked a little bit as sloppy as you did, but you still found a way to make it a game, and you forced overtime after an Owen Tippett late goal where he basically just throws the puck to the net, where Travis Sanheim has the perfect screen in front of Washington's netminder, and he ties the game up at 3. Nothing really happens in the overtime. Cam Atkinson gets robbed on a breakaway on the blocker side by Washington's netminder Lindgren, and you go to the shootout. Sean Couturier gets a bingo. TJ Oshie continues to be nasty in shootouts, basically ever since the Sochi Winter Olympics. And then Bobby Brink beats Lindgren, the goaltender. I'm going to keep saying that. I don't know why I do, but just go with me here. Tries to do the flying poke check, Lindgren does. He did it on the second shot of Forrester in the shootout. That was successful, and then he decided to do it for a second time in a row against Bobby Brink, and Bobby Brink read it instantly, and all he has to do was a little toe drag to get around Lindgren's poke check, and all he has to do was bury the puck, and that's exactly what he did. And then Sam Ersson, who got the nod today, so that's 2 starts in a row for Sam Ersson, because Carter Hart was not, lacing the skates up because he was sick, so had to call up an emergency netminder in that fact. But Ersson played a good game, in my honest opinion. Gets another shootout win under his book. Sadly, he didn't go, he allowed a goal this time in the shootout, but still found a way to get the win, which is all nice at the end of the day. I thought overall, Ersson made some good saves that you needed to for a team that was very flat-footed as they were. The start of this game for the Flyers, and honestly the Capitals too, was just very blah. Very blah. A lot of power plays in this game, a lot of power plays for the Flyers specifically. They don't score on any of those power plays. The Capitals actually do get a power play goal in this game, which is very shocking because both of these teams have very bad power plays. I believe the Capitals' power play is somehow worse than the Flyers statistically, and it feels like the Flyers is the worst power play in the goddamn universe at this point. The Flyers got so many power plays in this game that they were not able to score on. They get a power play in the first period. They got a couple of power plays in the second period, and nothing really going on in the third period. Washington does capitalize on one of the power plays, surprisingly for this Flyers penalty kill, which has been on absolute fire over the past so many weeks. This is the first power play goal that they've allowed in a while, and that was just one of those sequences where they couldn't get the puck out of the zone. And it was also a sequence where a wicked one-timer by Alex Ovechkin hit the mask of Sam Ersson, and it did unleash one of the straps behind his mask. And it kind of looked like after the goal was scored a couple of seconds later that he was barking at the ref, "Why didn't you blow the whistle?" Well, I think that's, in that situation, if you feel a strap coming off of your goalie mask, that's when you flip the mask up and try to bark at the ref, "Hey, my mask is unstrapped. It's undone. I need to stop at your play here." So that's a little bit on Ersson there, but overall can't fully blame him in that situation. So, yeah, you basically battled the entire way. The first period was terrible. Both sides, the Flyers, I think, only had 2 shots in the first period, so that basically shows the go-you the entire feeling of the first period. But Bobby Brink gets the first goal of the game, shot from Mark Stahl from the points. Bobby Brink cashes in the rebound, gets a 1-0 lead for the Flyers, but then the Caps respond basically seconds after a breakdown in the defensive zone. Someone leaves McMichael wide open in front of Sam Ersson, and he's just able to do a little bit of forehand, backhand, and beats Ersson. He literally had no shot at it because he was just literally left wide open behind and in front of the net. Lawton looked like he missed his man, misread the play, didn't know where his man was, so I firmly believe that's all on Scott Lawton, in my honest opinion. And then Scott Lawton will come up later in this video because, actually, in that second period, because he takes an interference penalty going back into the Flyers' defensive zone. It was very obvious that was going to be called interference. He takes it, and that's the insulting power play that the Capitals scored on to make it a 2-1 game going into the end of the second period. The Flyers actually did get a 5-on-3 going into the end of the second period, but obviously they didn't score on it, or else I would have been talking about that. But they didn't. I would have mentioned that they scored on a 5-on-3 when I mentioned power play, but no, the Flyers did not do that. They even opened up the period with a 5-on-3 for a few seconds and finishing off the rest of the power play, but no, they didn't score, so the train keeps on rolling for the lackluster Flyers power play, I guess you could say that it is. But Joel Farabee doing his... I thought Joel Farabee had a really good game. He was really noticeable out there, especially behind the Capitals net. He was doing a lot of work down there, and the line that he was out there, I believe it was Paling and Cam Atkinson, because Scott Lawton got moved down to the fourth line for how poor he was playing in the game. And you got a little bit of a board play, puck battle between Atkinson and I believe Paling. Farabee somehow comes up with the puck, and he just wraps it around the net, somehow squeaks it by Lindgren, and he ties the game up at 2. So you get a 2-2 game there, but then so many minutes later, there's a broken play in the Flyers zone where one of the Capitals looked like he was about to take a shot, and his stick literally just shattered on the shot, but then somehow it turns into a perfect pass for Dylan Strome, who's just net front to where he can just bury that puck. And Ersson, who is completely out of position because he was expecting a shot before the stick shattered, so you really can't blame the goaltender on that because he saw a shot coming a mile away, then stick shatters, puck goes in a different direction, and somehow it's on a stick of a Capital that's right there at the net front, so you really can't do anything in that situation, and the Caps suddenly got the lead back. Then the Flyers, they get their jump a little bit. This was basically the only period where it was 5-on-5 throughout the entire thing. The Owen Tippett line with him, Morgan Frost, and Bobby Brink, they're in the offensive zone. The Flyers were doing a lot of, in these late stages of the third period, keeping the puck in the offensive zone. They were definitely generating a lot of pressure, and this is one of those scenarios. Owen Tippett keeps the puck into the zone, and, Travis Sanheim doing his thing, trying to make havoc around with the puck as well. Owen Tippett comes up with the puck right near the blue line, near the left circle, and he just spins around, throws the puck onto the net, and it just goes in. It just goes in, and then you see on the replay Travis Sanheim parking his ass in front of the goaltender, goes through Sanheim's legs, and it goes into the net. Lindgren didn't see it at all. So a perfect screen there from Travis Sanheim. It tied at 3. And the Flyers probably would have had another goal at the end of the game. Travis Konecny set up beautifully by Sean Couturier. TK in the slot, wide open with a one-timer, and Lindgren makes the huge save in that sequence, but I believe it was like 4 seconds left in the period. So the Flyers probably could have won this one in regulation if TK was just able to find the back of the net in that situation. But you go to overtime, nothing really happens there besides the Cam Atkinson breakaway. The Capitals, they were just basically ragging the puck the entire time, doing that usual, okay, we can't find anything in the offensive zone, we're just going to reset, bring it back out to the neutral zone, regroup, we'll try another rush going in, if nothing works, we'll just reset once again. That was basically the entire overtime. The Flyers had minimal chances in that. Their biggest chance was the Cam Atkinson breakaway, and it resulted in going into the shootout. Sean Couturier, he didn't do his usual move that he's been doing this year, but he still finds a way to score a goal just blasting it by Lindgren. Then TJ Oshie does his nasty thing. Forster gets the flying poke check robbery. Ersson makes a good save on Strome. Bobby Brink avoids the flying poke check and buries it. And then Ersson with the final save there. And the Flyers, they get 2 points. They already extended the point streak going into overtime, but they get 2 points. 2 points. That's all that matters at the end of the day. And if we look at the Flyers in terms of guys who got points tonight, Frost had 2 points. He was a +2 on the night. That Frost line, actually was pretty solid today. I thought that was their best line of the day. Him, Bobby Brink, Bobby Brink, and Owen Tippett, I thought was their best overall line today. Joel Farabee gets the point on the goal that he scored. Who else? The Sean Couturier line wasn't the best line out there. I believe they were out there for one of the goals. I think it was one of those goals that was on the broken play, the one that made it 3-2 Capitals. I don't think they played terribly. I think overall, the Flyers, it was a very sloppy game. Passes that just weren't going. The Flyers didn't look like they fully had their legs out there. And it's understandable, especially when you're a team that is coming back from a very, 3-game road trip on the West Coast. That's going to be understandable at that point. And Torts even brought it up in the post-game pressure that he realized that they were flat-footed for most of the game, but he just respected how hard they played the entire way, even though that they were very flat-footed. So this team finds a way to battle, man. They find a way to battle the entire way, and that resulted in you getting another, 2 points on the standing sheet, and that's another W for this Flyers squad, which is some really, really good stuff there. Some really good stuff. Cannot complain at all. And yeah, that's 7 straight games with a point, going back to that final game in November against the Devils where they lost in overtime. So it goes from that Devils game to the 2 games against Pittsburgh, the 3-game road trip in Arizona, Colorado, and Nashville, and then tonight. So yeah, it's 7 straight games with a point. The schedule does get a little bit tougher in the next few games. You play Detroit, who has been a very, solid team this year. They definitely have been taking the next step in their rebuild, so that'll be a tough matchup. You play the Devils, who always seem to give the Flyers tough, business the past couple of years. They're a young, high-flying team with a lot of scoring potential. So you play them in New Jersey on the 19th. You play against Nashville again at home next Thursday, the 21st. It's a back-to-back, actually. One on the home and one on the road, and the 22nd on the road against Detroit again. Then you go on your Christmas break. You go on your Western Canadian road trip, including Seattle. So, yeah, the schedule definitely does not get any easier from here, but the Flyers, they're just a pesky team, and they're going to continue to battle the entire way. And if we look at the standings right now for the Metropolitan Division, the Flyers are currently tied with the New York Islanders for second place in the Metro. Islanders, I guess, have the tiebreaker because they do have a game in hand on the Flyers, but the Flyers, they got 35 points. The Islanders got 35 points. The Flyers are actually catching up on the Rangers, actually, which is pretty shocking. The Flyers are only 4 points behind the Rangers, but I still firmly believe that the Rangers are in a whole different tier than the Flyers are. The Hurricanes, they're 2 points behind the Flyers, 33 there. Capitals, they got 32 points. Devils, they got 31, 29 for Pittsburgh, and 25 for the Blue Jackets, who actually went up 5-0 on Toronto, and they choked that 5-0 lead, but they still won in overtime, which is hilarious in my honest opinion for Toronto fans to get instantly blue-balled like that. I don't know why, I just find it very, 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 very funny. I just do. I just find it very funny. What else? What else here? In terms of anything here, let's look at some of the Flyers totals here for scoring wise. TK 24 points on the year, Coots 21, Travis Sanheim has 21 points on the year, Farabee has 11 goals, and I barely think Farabee has, I don't think he has any power play points this year because he's not even being used on the power play, which is very shocking for how solid he has been this year. He has 11 goals, which none of those are on the power play. That's 11 even strength or shorthanded goals. So, no, they're all even strength. So, yeah, Farabee's doing his damage 5-on-5. Owen Tippett has 10 goals on the year with 18 points. Cam Atkinson has been very snake-bitten. He has 8 goals, and I don't remember when the last time he scored a goal was. So, yeah, he's very snake-bitten. Bobby Brink gets another point on the board. 11 points there for him. Cam York has 11. Sean Walker, 11. Morgan Frost with 8. Nick Sealer has 7. He's a plus 14, so good shit there for Nick Sealer. Good for him. Good for him. And a good win by the Fly Guys. Can't ask for much more. That is basically it. Cannot ask for much more than what they did tonight, especially since they were very flat-footed, which was very obvious from the get-go. Good win, boys. It's a good win. Not much more you can ask for. So, that is going to do it for tonight, everybody. Flyers, they got a point in their 7th straight game with this win tonight. Let's see what they can do this weekend against Detroit. So stay tuned for that recap when that comes up on Saturday. Tomorrow we might do something, we might not. Just you'll see it in your subscription feed if there's any news or anything like that. Maybe we'll bring in our Football Friday recording. Yeah, I'll probably do that tomorrow in the afternoon or something like that. I'll record that in the afternoon or wait until the injury report comes out. So definitely stay tuned for that stuff for us Eagles Seahawks preview for Monday Night Football. And yeah, that's basically it there. So that'll do it for tonight. Don't forget to leave a comment in the comment section down below. Don't forget to drop a like. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button. It does me a great deal of service with the algorithm. And also use the code TTPSPORTS, $20 off your first purchase at SeatGeek. Great deal. Don't pass it up. Thanks, guys, for joining me tonight or whenever you're watching this. And I'll see you next time.